beginning. The year is 2015, June 2nd, 2015 to be exact. Social justice in the media is on the rise, and a new show hopping on the SJW bandwagon begins, Decoded with Francesca Ramsey. During this time, anti-SJWs were on the rise as well, with the likes of The Amazing Atheist, Sargon, Armored Skeptic, Thunderfoot, who is now not in the community because off-color jokes were said, and then he blamed it on Sargon, even though Sargon wasn't the one who said it. But it doesn't even matter who said it. It's a fucking joke, so relax, Thunderfoot. Antis were starting to grow, and new ones popped up every other week, giving their opinion on SJW culture, and for the past few years, it's been extremely entertaining and has been a great pushback for some of the regressive rhetoric we've been hearing SJW spew out for time. On top of their videos being very anti-man or anti-white, we also started seeing a lot of stories come out of universities and colleges and media in general of them having the upper hand in the world we live in. This also includes Antifa gaining steam and us seeing some of the worst protests that America has ever had. Did I also mention that BLM and them literally burning down streets and attacking white people and then blaming cops for deaths of innocent black people, even though 95% of the time when footage comes out, we see the person who was killed not putting their gun down and not complying with the police officer demands. That's a whole other video. Yet with everything getting heated quite literally, and with it being incredibly obvious that the mass majority of people siding with the anti's points of views by simply looking at the likes to dislikes, and also noticing that people like Anita blocking comments like in general and blocking ratings. For some reason, the anti-side is looked at like a bunch of horrible villains with an agenda to oppress people, when simply antis are just debunking points that we feel are, well, shit. The most recent case was when we went to Anita's panel at VidCon and sat in the front row, and within 5 minutes, Anita bashed Sargon, who was aggressively man-sitting, basically, and Hank Green, the founder of VidCon, apologized to Anita for us sitting there. If we look at the rules of VidCon, we don't see any rule that says, if you've made a video against the people on the panel, do not go to the panel. Nope, didn't see that. But we do see a rule against harassment, which Anita broke, and yet still got the apology. Not only that, we did get a vague threat if we planned something like that next year, we would not be allowed to go back to VidCon. This, along with the fact that no one in our community was offered to be on the panels and discuss disagreements or have a formal debate. Only people part of the SJW side were allowed to be on the panels. And we even heard Francesca Ramsey during her panel say that we should start having discussions with opposing points of view. She even mentioned that in her closing speech, aka the keynote at VidCon, that we need to have these discussions. So why weren't we on the panels? Because they don't want to hear what we have to say. That's fucking why. Let's take a step back to how I started the video. June 2nd, 2015, Francesca Ramsey started her Decoded series. While many people have debunked and debated her points within her series, I was known for going after her mainly because I reviewed probably around like 20 or 30 of her videos. And my videos did really well, and hers, not so much. No, not even close. I had just come out of stand-up comedy, so my approach wasn't just to debunk, but it was also to make jokes about her or whoever I was talking about. This is how I made my debunk videos stand out from the crowd, and I had a lot of fun making them, and people found them hilarious. I didn't have any intention of her even watching my videos because back then I was a small fry compared to this MTV juggernaut. But at a certain point, the tides shifted where I was way more noticed and respected by the mainstream, not to mention others like Skeptic or No Bullshit did amazing videos destroying her race-baiting tactics. We were on top and MTV had fallen miserably. Like MTV used to be like, good. What? Some people asked why I kept going after her, and it's because her race bait videos taught her viewers and fans that we should blame most of the world's problems on white people and perpetuate this victim culture. I am being very general when I say this, but all the videos are up there for you to see exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As the commentary videos of hers continued, we toned down the harshness. Still, we were, making great rebuttals for her videos, but we also upped our humor and made fun of this back and forth we were having with her and other SJW channels. When Decoded hadn't posted for a long while between seasons, we made this cringy rap music video called I Miss You, Franny. It did very well, actually. Franny, I know I bashed you for views, picking on Decoded MTV News. I know you think what I think and say ain't right, for you subtly saying fuck all those who are white. I know you're thinking fuck off. It was like a joke, it was a shitpost. One of our opposing channels, Mike, made a parody video about antis and squeezed us in. It was beautiful. We actually loved it.
We were thrilled the day that the SJWs just disappeared until we started making the next video. And then suddenly it was like, ugh, what do we even talk about?
Our perspective is, if we're not going to debate them because they blocked us or whatever, then we will continue to counter their claims with funny comebacks and debunking videos. We thought that Cheska may have actually liked that music video because we thought it was hilarious. But until my first interaction with her on Skype a couple of months ago, where she said she was none too pleased in few words. You see, the Lacy Green Red Pill section of this YouTube timeline within our community pushed things into a very interesting and different direction. Lacy and I were friends before the SJW era of YouTube, and once she became a hardcore feminist and worked for MTV, it's about the same time I made a couple videos about her. She became one of these main figureheads of that community. So recently, when she decided to take a different approach, and rather than post videos and hide comments, ignore the opposition, and she actually engaged and then realized that we weren't these monsters that a lot of people look at us like from that side. They think we're like these evil beings because we fucking disagree and might call them idiots from time to time. Then interesting interactions and debates and just being friends started actually happening. Once Lacy and I spoke, Francesca had messaged me and we began discussing our grievances with each other. She had told me about her getting harassed online and how my videos have caused her a lot of stress. While I was debating and making jokes and thinking of our symbiotic relationship as like a Joker and Batman, Tom and Jerry, Coyote and Roadrunner type of entertainment within discussions of controversial topics, she took it as me just like being a troll and trying to make money. Then VidCon happened, and it was the day after the Anita panel. There was some Francesca Ramsey, Cenk Uygur, and Kat Black panel. Kat fucking missed that. How could we miss that? This time it was heavily guarded with more security after, after what happened at the Anita panel, basically everyone freaking out. It was crazy. But apparently after the show, a security guard walked up to Chris Worski, and thanked him and I for not causing trouble. So obviously we were on their scopes. Cheska also made 2 comments about me, like while she was on the panel, but it didn't go overboard and the panel went well. The next morning I tweeted about the panel and said that I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Like the whole, she wants to have discussions with people she was talking about. I was like, cool, yeah, let's talk. We've been fucking just back and forth on Twitter and videos for a long time. Let's do this. Let's do it. So we decided to meet each other where Bunty and I just sat down with her and had a good conversation. It progressed things forward in a positive way. She even invited me to the keynote because she did it directly after our conversation, but I didn't have a badge to enter that floor area, so I said I'll see her later, blah, blah, blah. After the good vibes at VidCon, not only because that moment or anything, or I was excited for debates, but I just met the most awesome people I've ever had the pleasure of chilling with and meeting with so many fans and having this like open dialogue. Everything was just great. I was just overwhelmed. And I made a video talking about having open dialogue with her, and I was very nice in the video, and she Skyped me after. Even while watching the video, she was live DMing me her thoughts, and she loved what I was saying in the video. And then we had a Skype conversation, and she was really happy. And we talked for like 45 minutes, and I must say, Just like in Armored Skeptic's video about how she talked to him behind the scenes and how he felt about her during that time, she seemed very nice and cool. Now, this podcast in question, what the fuck happened? No, seriously, I feel like I missed something in between VidCon and this podcast. I was already apprehensive after she declined to come on my show and debate, and she wanted to just talk via Skype and not publicly. Like, what? My intentions were to talk about our differences of these topics because that's what she said at her panel and in her keynote privately. What's the point? Are you gonna make a video like talking about what we talked about? No? Then who cares? It just sounds like being friends so I don't debunk you anymore. If you make a video I really disagree with, can I comment on it now or not? Because we're like friends or like, are we on a truce or something, huh? Then you make this podcast and fucking destroy all the progress we've made. Like, and all the progress you made with Armored Skeptic, the months of conversations. You know, and you just throw him and me and pretty much everyone on our side under the bus? What? Now here's the part where I respond to her podcast, where she pretty much rewind all the progress that we made, bashed us, bashed our community, our side. And, you know, Armored Skeptic, like I said, did an amazing video on this and his reaction and response to this podcast. It was great. And during this podcast, she talks a lot about meeting me and him. I didn't use our names, but we know who she's talking about. We know who she's talking about. And pretty much everything that we perceived when we were talking to her, we talked to her separately. Everything that we perceived is completely, like, there's a huge tone change in this podcast. And it was, she was being fake, I guess, or is she being fake here? I can't tell. I don't know.
Speaking of hunting trolls, you went to VidCon recently.
What is that laugh? Why are you laughing? You had great conversations with Armored Skeptic and I. You had a keynote about discussion, and now you're gonna just drop the we're trolls? Do you even know what a troll is? Would a troll meet you in person and go, hello, how are you doing?
You probably heard that there was a lot of drama because some well-known YouTube trolls that call themselves anti-feminists came to VidCon and...
I love that that's your banner. Anti-anything.
So dumb.
Is a pretty bad heading.
They also
to
call
put yourself
themselves
under.
anti-SJWs because...
How are we trolls? If you're an anti-SJW, you're just